All right, we are live now this morning as we get going on our Johnston RV Center.com hotline and Champy's Chicken pregame show. Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ron Brown will join us later on. We are live at Walk-On here for a little early morning USC soccer in the World Cup and then college football conference championship games later on. I'm Jim Dunaway on one side of Walk-Ons, and across the way is my man Lance Taylor, who is at the bar with a nice mimosa. Good morning, America. Good morning to you, Lance. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Just getting going here in the World Cup. I never thought on a college football Saturday, especially a championship weekend Saturday, that I would be watching soccer. But it's a new era.
Yeah, it times out really good, though. Again, thank you to JohnstonRVCenter.com. The 22s are on their way out. You can get great deals on them. The 23s are on the lot now. You can go check them out, JohnstonRVCenter.com. Hotline, JohnstonRVCenter.com, JohnstonRVCenter.com, and Champy's Chicken. As you get ready to watch football later today, a great place for lunch on Highway 119 in Alabaster. You can watch the games as well. Champy'sChicken.com, Champy'sChicken.com. It is the Netherlands, Team USA folks playing in a knockout round today. This is where it starts like the NCAA tournament. Basically, it's the Sweet 16, and they advance on from here. It's win, and you advance, you lose, and you go home. But let's start with college football. We'll get to all the games later on. But, LT, we have to start with what happened last night. USC, great first quarter, but then the second, third, and fourth quarter was a disaster. Caleb Williams gets hurt. Let's break all that down first, and then we'll set the table today. USC loses last night. Utah wins another Pac-12 championship game. Your initial thought first on what happened after the first quarter?
Well, there were three things that really jump out. We saw the long 59-yard run from Caleb Williams, an incredible run, and that's where he popped the hamstring, and he was never the same after that. They had a first and goal at the Utah 3 up 14-3. And they couldn't get in, so they settled for 3, which I was surprised. I thought it was 4-down territory. I just thought it was going to be touchdown. We're not going to settle for anything inside the 5-yard line. But they kicked 3 there, and then see a 44-7 run to end it. But the 3 keys, Dunaway, USC could not convert on third downs. They were 1 of 12. The biggest key of the game, 25 at least missed tackles. That's when the last count I got was 25 missed tackles. Utah had 7 sacks. And for the first time all season, USC did win the turnover battle.
Yeah, and Cam Rising, who has had turnover problems in their losses, played so well last night. But I just thought the physicality of Utah, it couldn't be matched by USC last night. The missed tackles was a lot of times just a more physical, determined runner running through arm tackles by USC. I don't remember a time I've seen a championship-level team missed tackles like that. Brown, if he was here right now, he's got a daughter's event, would say, oh, that's just exactly Lincoln Riley's Oklahoma team. I don't remember Lincoln Riley's Oklahoma team being that bad in tackling. Usually they were just way out of position.
Yeah, exactly. Blown assignments, out of position. These guys were there. And I still think Alex Grinch is a really good defensive coordinator. They've got a lot of athleticism. They've got a lot of speed. They just don't have that physicality, and they're going to have to figure that out. If you want to take it to the next level, they were on the brink of going to a college football playoff, but if you want to be a championship team, you got to be physical. And they've got all the athletes in the world. They lived on turnovers. They lived on Caleb Williams. Once he got hurt, he told Lincoln Riley that he was only 50%, if that. Miller Moss also almost comes in the game, which would have been a disaster. I think Caleb Williams at 25% is probably a better option. But, without a 100% Caleb Williams and the way they were playing defensively, there was just no shot last night. I do think Dunaway, when it was 17-3, they forced the fumble. They get the ball in the Utah 39, and they go give it up on downs, 4 and out. If they would have scored there, gone up 24-3, I think we might have a different game.
So Utah wins the Pac-12 championship again. They're off to the Rose Bowl. USC is out of the college football playoff, we would assume. Let's get some of your comments because Alabama fans are now thinking they've got an opportunity. First question here comes in from Bob. He wants to know Ohio State, Bama. What would be the line if they played each other neutral site, LT? Ohio State and Alabama, the two people outside of the last rankings, trying to get in on tomorrow's rankings, the final one. If those two were matched up, what would be the betting line in Vegas?
Yeah, I think I would set that number at Alabama 3. And, a lot of that has to do with the lasting impressions of how Ohio State looked in that fourth quarter and just getting physically dominated. So I think Alabama would be a favorite. I don't think it would be big all. I think it would be right around the field goal.
All right. So thank you, Bob, for your question today. Keep those comments coming. Remember, this is the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline, JohnstonRVCenter.com. Go to that website and check out all the great rides. You can see America in 2023 with JohnstonRVCenter.com. Also, you can go to Champy's Chicken and enjoy your tailgate food today while you watch all the championship games at home, including the SEC championship at 3 o'clock. Champy'sChicken.com for all your tailgate needs, all your office party needs and everything. And it's on Highway 119 in Alabaster. Sterling and the crew with the best chicken you're going to ever eat in those Mississippi Delta tamales. Go check him out, Champy'sChicken.com. And we're here at Walk-Ons today, enjoying a little USA soccer in the mornings with our friends at Walk-Ons. We appreciate them. If America wins and advances, expect Walk-Ons to be open for all of the tournament to come watch the early games here. Dave writes in and says, good morning, guys. Do you guys think the show opens with Ryan in between Lance and the human landmine Monday? Well, we've already been together a little bit this morning. There was no anger from LT about last night's loss towards me. He knew I could make those tackles. It wasn't my fault, was it, Lance?
It wasn't your fault. I still think it was a dick move that you wore that shirt. I've never seen you wear any USC gear, but that's fine. Look, it was a good first year under Lincoln Riley. I thought it would have been really cool for them to get to their first college football playoff. Even if they would have gotten there, I said it. I've said it for weeks. Can you imagine what Georgia's defensive front would do to that USC offensive line? Even with a 100% Caleb Williams, kid would have gotten killed.
Brett asked the question everybody's wanting to get to today, so let's go to truck driver Brett here. He says, I think if Kansas State runs TCU today, like Utah did USC, the committee flips Georgia and Michigan, and they put Bama in. So that's the big question today. So let's get to that before we talk about that game. Alabama, as they hear today, I feel like Ohio State is in. I feel like Georgia and Michigan is in. Do you think TCU is in regardless? Do you think TCU is in if they play close? Or do you think there is a path for Alabama to be in now after what happened last night?
Yeah, there's a path. There is no doubt. And I can't even imagine how excited they were in Columbus. And I know Alabama fans all over this area and across the country were really excited about how that second half played out. But I think it will take this. TCU's already won the first matchup. And if Will Howard doesn't go out or if Adrian Martinez doesn't go out, I don't think they win that game. They were down 18 in the second quarter. But it's hard to punish them for a game they've already won when Alabama's sitting home with 2 losses. And let's not forget, TCU's undefeated. So if they lose, it will be 1 loss. They still played in their championship game. They would have to lose this game by 14 plus. I think that's where anything under 14, I think TCU is in. Anything over 14, if they get beat by 21 plus, Alabama's in. I fully expect that because of brand. But if it's 14 plus, it's going to be a fun show tomorrow. Outside of that, another four, and I do think that they would flip it because I think they would rather have Michigan, Ohio State in the first round. I don't think they want that matchup.
A lot of these in the chat room and on our Twitter feed today. EMAW, every man's a Wildcat. That's their saying out there today. Everyone is excited about what is happening. They're not excited about what just happened in the World Cup over in Qatar. If you're watching on Fox and also streaming us today, the Netherlands have just gone up 1-0, and now it becomes crunch time the rest of the way. LT, they've got to not get goals down. If they get 2 goals down against this defense, it's over. So early goal there in the first 10 minutes is something you did not want.
Well, the interesting thing, Dunaway, you've been watching this, is the Americans have been the one putting the pressure on. They had an outstanding opportunity 2 minutes into the match to go up 1-0. And good save by the goalkeeper, and they go right down. Really their first opportunity to put any pressure on the Americans, and just a great shot there. But you're right, man. They go down 2-0. This thing's over.
Yeah, Michael writes in and says, come on, Dunaway, where's the TCU shirt after the USC shirt? Well, if you were watching yesterday, I had them both on throughout the show yesterday. We'll see if it carries over today. Kevin says, can the Dunaway landmine go 2 for 2 this weekend? What do you think in that game, LT, as we do the JohnstonRVCenter.com pregame show? I felt that sneeze coming. You ever feel a sneeze coming?
Yeah. Look at the
Yeah,
sun when you go outside. It happens all the time. But bless you.
There was no
Here's
way.
what I think.
But can I go 2 for 2 in the landmine? Do you think TCU loses today to Kansas State?
Oh, I think TCU. I told you guys yesterday. Nobody believed me, and they thought I was just saying it for a reverse jinx or whatever. I've said the entire year Utah's the most complete team in the Pac-12. Now they went into that game banged up, but this is the Utah team, and they're going to look back and they're going to kick themselves because Florida, they shouldn't have lost that game. And then they had a meltdown in the fourth quarter against Oregon. They win both of those games. They're in the college football playoff right now. So we're not even really having this discussion about Alabama possibly getting in. With that said, I thought Utah was going to win the entire week. I thought Kansas State's going to win the entire week. And I've got a feeling that Kansas State can win this game by double digits. So I think things could really get interesting. I think Kansas State is the more complete team. I give Sonny Dykes a ton of credit. Max Duggan's had an incredible year, and he's got an opportunity. If TCU was to win and he puts up big numbers, he actually maybe could slide in front of Caleb Williams.
That's an interesting thought there about him sliding ahead of Caleb Williams. I thought Caleb played gutsy last night, and I would have gone ahead and given him the Heisman Trophy.
Brown is now, get it, yeah.
Yeah, Brown's now on site out here. I don't know if he's going to join or not in the conversation. We have about 13 more minutes left in the show. He just came from one of his daughter's events. He's here with us in spirit, but he's not going to join us here. He'll send he'll get the mimosas going across the side here. We're at Walk-Ons watching USA Soccer and kicking off a little Saturday morning breakfast. This is the Johnston RV Center.com pregame show. Also, our friends at Champy's Chicken. Again, the best chicken you're ever going to taste. Go get that early as they open up in about an hour and a half, and grab that Champy's Chicken from Sterling and the crew and sit back and watch football all day long. Remember, the SEC championship game kicks off at 3 o'clock. Everyone that is just joining the stream now, LT, is wanting to know what is the point spread that you feel comfortable Alabama jumps over TCU and gets in. I'm of the belief TCU is in regardless of what happens today. But it will give me the number, a point spread you think it actually feels good Alabama gets in.
21 plus, there is no way TCU gets in this thing. They just can't. They don't have the brand. I know they're undefeated right now, but if they lose this game going away, lasting impressions are important. And I know people will say, well, why is Ohio State getting in? Well, because Ohio State's a brand. Unfortunately, TCU's not. If this was Texas, they could lose by 40 points, but it didn't Texas. It's TCU. They lose by 21 plus, they're not getting in.
Yeah. Now, Riley asked the question, and I don't think we want to get into this. I think if you're an Alabama fan, you want this to be as clean as possible today. I think you want it to be Georgia wins, Michigan wins, and then TCU gets blown out. You want it to be clean. You don't want, but he's asking, what if Michigan gets beat by double digits today by a Purdue team? Does that make Ohio State look a little weaker? Does that open the door for Alabama? I don't think you want to get into having multiple one-loss teams, and then they start saying, oh, these one-loss teams are all flawed. Let's put them all in and leave Alabama out. I think you want Michigan and Georgia to be dominant today. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. Look, those two, we know they're in. Let them go on and do their thing. I find it highly unlikely that Michigan would, lose this game. Double digits would completely shock me. Harbaugh will have these guys ready. They take a lot of pride in getting to this game. I think Michigan probably wins going away. I stayed away from that game. But I agree with you. I think this does need to be a clean day for Alabama if they want to backdoor their way in. Georgia needs to win. Michigan needs to win. And, again, Kansas State needs to play like they played in the first half, stay healthy, the earlier matchup against TCU.
Bobby, a lifelong Auburn fan, says, I hope Bama gets in the 4 spot because Georgia -6 would be absolutely free money against this Alabama team.
It probably would be. I'm not going to disagree with Bobby. I mean, I think Georgia's a much better team this year. But I would guarantee you, Georgia fans, Kirby Smart, that's the last team they want to see get in.
Yeah. Some more of your comments in a second. But, again, let's run through the games today at LT's expert opinion on some of these. I'll give you an actual play because I'm going AtlantisLock.com, but he'll give you opinions all. As a landmine, I will give you what I think happened in the games as well. Again, JohnstonRVCenter.com, JohnstonRVCenter.com. The 22s that are still on the lot, you get a great deal on. But the 23s are on the lot soon. You can check out the great rides from JohnstonRVCenter.com, JohnstonRVCenter.com. 2 locations up I-65. You can go up there and take a look at them, or you can just go online to JohnstonRVCenter.com and see how you can see America in 2023. And Sterling and the folks at Champy's Chicken, Highway 119 in Alabaster, open every day for your convenience for lunch and or dinner. Let's go first with the SEC championship, 3 o'clock, Georgia LSU over in Atlanta, Georgia. LSU's here. Jaden Daniels is playing. He's not 100%. It's a big number for an SEC championship game, but most people I talk to, LT, they feel okay laying that number. Tell me what you think happens today, Georgia LSU inside Mercedes-Benz.
Well, shameless plug real quick, 3-0 yesterday in college football, and we've got 5 plays up today at lanceslock.com. Jaden Daniels, the ankle's not 100%, and that offense, it runs completely through him, much like you saw last night with Caleb Williams. Once he was banged up, once that hamstring popped, it was a different offense. And if Jaden Daniels' ankle is a factor at all, I don't know what they do. And going back to last weekend against Texas A&M, how LSU was flat in that game when they had everything in front of them makes no sense. This Georgia team is so complete. Georgia wins the game. We'll see if they cover the number.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. On that topic right there, Richard D wants to know if LSU pulled the upset, any chance Bama jumps Ohio State?
Look, they're going to manipulate the seeding if Bama gets in. They're going to manipulate it now that Ohio State's in. So, I'm not sure how they do this. Alabama fans will know by 2 o'clock their fate, though.
Yep. Here's a realistic Alabama fan. TR says, Bama fan here. I don't want Bama in the college football playoffs. I'd rather miss it to get beat by a better team in the college football playoffs. He doesn't want to hurt Alabama's reputation in the playoffs, LT, I don't think.
Well, I don't think that would happen, honestly. I mean, I think if Alabama gets new life, Bryce Young's a special player, and this is not an Alabama team that matches any of the previous, 10 Nick Saban teams. But with that said, this is a weird year of college football. And, we almost saw Georgia get beat by Missouri. I know that was really their only one slip up. I don't think anybody thinks Michigan is invincible without Blake Corum. We saw what Ohio State just happened to them. TCU can be beat by anybody. So, obviously, if TCU gets in, Alabama doesn't get in. But I think if Alabama – I see what people are saying, and we brought this up yesterday. I think people say this is not a deserving team, and they're not at the moment. They're not a deserving team because they look so different from other Nick Saban teams. But I think if they get in, I think anybody can win this. I really do.
LT is with us. I'm here. Bunny is off on the side stage here watching USA and the Netherlands play 1-0. I'll correct that, Bobby. 1-0 right now. The Netherlands up on Team USA. It's been a very aggressive Team USA team so far. We're going to be here live for another 11 minutes on our pregame show brought to you by JohnstonRVCenter.com and our friends at Champy's Chicken. And Lunsford has already called it for Team USA. RIP USA, rest in peace. Time to go back dreaming to get Alabama into the college football playoffs. Thank you for that. So Georgia LSU is at 3 on CBS. Before we put that one to bed, LT, Georgia moving into the playoffs. They haven't been playing their best football down the stretch here, though. This Georgia team looked better the first half of the season than they have the second half of the season. Still seem to be the most complete team to me that'll be in the playoffs.
I honestly think they've been bored. I really do. We saw in the past with Alabama, and Georgia's become the new Alabama in the SEC. At least it looks like that the last couple of years. But they just seem like they're going through the motions. They were so flat against Georgia Tech. They still win that game by 23. But I think there's something to get, motivated for. They're basically playing at home today. It's another SEC championship, which, by the way, they haven't won one since 2017. So there's something obviously to play for there. But I think they'll come out. I think they'll play well today. And, again, you're playing for seeding, I guess. I don't know if that matters or not. Do you want to be the 1 seed and play Ohio State at 4 or the 1 seed and play Alabama at 4?
I would rather, truthfully, I would rather play TCU if TCU's in this thing than I would. If I'm Georgia, I'd rather play TCU than I would want to play Ohio State. If Alabama's, I don't think it matters. Ohio State, Alabama, to me, is going to be about the challenge for Georgia. So I think they manipulate things if it ends up being Alabama and Ohio State. So we'll either get 2 conference matchups or 2 non-conference matchups, and they'll hope it just cycles around. But if TCU's in this thing, that's who I want if I'm number 1 Georgia. Great question from Damian. Go ahead. You agree with me?
I was just going to say real quick, I think what happens if Michigan wins going away tonight, I think they'll flip it. Michigan will be your 1, Ohio State will be your 4, Georgia's 2, TCU's 3. Georgia gets a better path.
Yeah, Damien from Facebook watching us today. Can somebody explain to me why a potential 2-loss ACC champion like Clemson isn't getting any chance at all to make the college football playoff? Why a 2-loss Alabama team sitting at home who wouldn't be a conference champion is getting into the conversation? It's a fair question there, considering Alabama's out-of-conference wins, or excuse me, any wins that they have are not as they usually are.
Well, I mean, here's the bottom line: the ACC is garbage this year. You've got a 3-loss team and a 2-loss team playing for the ACC championship. It's of the Power Fives this year. It's the worst Power Five out there.
Yeah, that's a great point. Christopher also on Facebook. Some dog fans wanting to see Alabama in the college football playoff so they can spank them 2 straight times in a row. That would sort of wash away all the past losses. It would give them a feeling that anytime they saw Alabama down the road, they quickly now have the upper hand. Right now, if those two played each other the next game, I don't think mentally Georgia would feel like they still have the upper hand on Alabama. If they did it 2 straight years in a row, and the one time convincingly, it would feel like the worm had turned in that little postseason rivalry, right?
Yeah, I mean, it already seems like it kind of has, just based on this season. We'll see how Georgia finishes this thing out. But it would be fascinating if Alabama finds a way to get there, finds a way to get into this thing. I just, going back to something Brown said all week, that committee going into tomorrow, if TCU is to lose, how difficult is it for them to put in not only 2 Big Ten teams, but 2 SEC teams?
Yeah, it's tough when you have to look your bosses who are some of those other conferences in the eye and said, man, we were not interested in you at all. JohnstonRVCenter.com, Champy's Chicken, our pregame show here on all the Next Round video platforms today from Walk-Ons as we celebrate the World Cup in soccer in America, leading into the College Football Conference Championship games. We appreciate all your comments rolling in on the side in the morning. As we talk about the other games, I'll keep feeding them in there so everybody can see what you've been saying. But we've talked Georgia, LSU. Let's go Michigan and Purdue tonight. Is there a chance we see Jeff Braun's spoiler makers tonight? Can they spoil Michigan's perfect season?
Well, I mean, look, anything can happen this college football season. I highly doubt it. If they played this game, 10 times, I think 9 times Michigan wins by double digits. But, the fact of the matter is, as good as J.J. McCarthy was last week, you can make the argument Aiden O'Connell is a better overall quarterback. Charlie Jones will be the best wide receiver on the field. Outside of that, Jeff Brom is 3-0 against top 5 teams. But I just think this 4-loss Purdue team, nice accomplishment getting to a Big Ten championship game, but I just don't think they have a shot.
So Michigan and Purdue is tonight. TCU and Kansas State goes at 11 Central today. TCU and Kansas State, we've talked a lot about the impact of that game. The reason you think Kansas State wins the game is why, LT? What's the one thing Kansas State can do that TCU cannot do in that contest?
Well, I don't think TCU is going to be able to stop Deuce Vaughn. I think he's going to be all over the place. TCU's defense has gotten better since the last time these two played, but it's going to come down if I'm Chris Kleiman, it's all about limiting what Kendra Miller can do on the ground, make Max Duggan continue to make those plays. And again, I just think Kansas State's a more complete team, and I look for Deuce Vaughn to have a huge game.
Chris on the chat room as we continue to throw these up nonstop below here. Chris says it is so fun seeing Bama fans grasping for hope today. You knew that was coming. Alabama fans who've been sitting in the ivory tower of college football since 2009. It is a weird feeling seeing them beg for inclusion a little bit today.
Well, I think they're a little more hope, obviously, because I don't know how you felt. Going into the game, I thought Utah would win, but watching how crisp USC was in the first quarter, I thought it was really going to get away from Utah, and I thought we were going to see a USC blowout, and that would have slammed the door on Alabama. So I'm sure from an Alabama fan's perspective, being able to watch Utah come back and then ultimately win that game going away, now you've really only got one more peg. I mean, if that game plays out, or if today's game, Kansas State TCU plays out like last night, and Kansas State's on the front end like Utah, Alabama's in this thing.
It's an interesting discussion. I think it's 11 a.m. Central tomorrow, Brownie, 11 a.m. Central for the college football unveiling, the playoffs. If you can double check that for me, but I think that's what we go tomorrow for the for the 11 a.m. College football selection, and then the bowl releases after that. That's the way it's been in the past. ACC championship tonight, Clemson and North Carolina. We don't feel like either one has a pass to the playoff, but they are playing for a championship. All eyes will be on the transfer portal for both of these teams after this game to see if anybody is hitting the portal, especially a quarterback from Clemson and maybe a quarterback from North Carolina. But in this game here, I know all week long you think Clemson has the better chance to beat this game. I would assume, LT, because of North Carolina's defense has been a little lacking.
Well, look, I think Will Shipley is somebody to look out for. Didn't get enough touches last week against South Carolina. Had a big game in that loss. But you start to look at this, 3 weeks ago, this would have been an awesome game because you would have had 2 one-loss ACC teams. And the way this thing is played out now with USC losing, North Carolina with 1 loss would have had an opportunity to actually get into this college football playoff. But unexplainable losses to Georgia Tech and a backup quarterback, to NC State and a third-string quarterback. And now this game with Clemson coming off that loss to South Carolina is just – it's kind of a blah game, but I do expect Clemson to be able to make more offensive plays against this North Carolina defense.
Okay, I'll save Tulane and UCF for the very end here. Just give me 15 seconds on these other 2 games here today. Boise State and Fresno State. Boise State, what a turnaround for Andy Avalos from the start of the season.
Yeah, look, Fresno State too, the way they've turned it around. I mean, they got completely dominated by USC earlier this season, but Jake Hayner – he's got a lot of experience. I like Fresno. I like the dog here.
Also, you have Troy hosting Coastal Carolina. This Troy team has been so well coached this year, and Coastal Carolina's quarterback, who is fantastic, has not been 100%.
Yeah, Grayson McCall is going to be a game-time decision. This number reflects it. There's a reason that Troy's a 9.5-point favorite. They've won 9 consecutive games. They're playing with a ton of confidence. Even if McCall plays, I still think Troy wins the game.
Okay, the last game we haven't talked about, Tulane and UCF for a New Year's 6 bowl bid and an AAC championship. After I remind you, JohnstonRVCenter.com, JohnstonRVCenter.com. It's a great way it's the best vacation you can do with your kids, packing them up for a couple of weeks and touring America in the summer. Go to Yellowstone, go see the West Coast, just drive through America in a Johnston Center RV. It's a great way to see America. JohnstonRVCenter.com, JohnstonRVCenter.com. Our Champy's Chicken Sterling and the crew. Nobody better in the business. Champy's Chicken, Highway 119 in Alabaster, Champy'sChicken.com. And, of course, thank you to our friends at Walk-Ons who opened up early today, gave us a plate full of beignets, some good hot Louisiana coffee, and now we're enjoying the mimosas. How's your mimosa holding up, LT? I feel like
good. I'm gonna have to get number 2 here in a second.
I feel like Hoda on the Today Show. How's your mimosa going over there? Okay, Tulane UCF. What do you have? Tulane UCF in this one.
Again, the most complete team in the American to me is Tulane, and what a turnaround from 2-10 last year. I think they've got the better coach in Willie Fritz. I still can't get over the Navy loss from UCF, barely beating South Florida. I like Tulane here. I think it'll be a good game, but I think Tulane, they've got so much to play for, man. What a great story that would be for them to represent the Group 5 in the New Year's 6. But something to watch out for. If Tulane does lose and Troy's really impressive, I think it could be interesting. 3-loss UCF or Troy. Could Troy possibly jump them?
That would be interesting to watch. On Monday, we'll be talking about who's in the college football playoffs, all the big bowl games, and Deion Sanders, who is on his way to coach the Colorado Buffaloes, according to all reports. Pete Thamel reporting that at ESPN. Prime time in the Rockies. What do you think about that, LT?
I think it's fascinating. I think it's a horrible job. I'm glad he's getting an opportunity with the Power 5. I don't know why he's taking this job, though. And I don't know if you've already seen reports where there's apparently a big name that's going into the portal and Deion's telling him to wait till he takes this job. I think that's tampering, but that's out there right now. But I think Deion will do a great job recruiting. I don't know if he's ever been to Boulder in his life. It's a cool place. It doesn't seem like a Deion place. We'll see what happens. I'm excited for him, but I wish he would have taken the Auburn job.
Yeah, I think he had faster success at Auburn, faster success at Cincinnati, faster success at USF, but we'll see what does at Colorado. By the way, Hugh Freeze on College Game Day today, very impressive. Herb Street actually said on the air, some of you were talking about it in the chat room, he thinks the possibility of Hugh Freeze having a Sonny Dykes-like season next year at Auburn is in the mix. Their schedule sets up for that possibility next year of them having a possible 8, 9, 10-win season if they get to work here in the portal. All right, that's our pregame show. Thank you all season to our friends at JohnstonRVCenter.com, JohnstonRVCenter.com, and thank you to Sterling. He helps us in so many ways, including writing the song that we sang yesterday in Rocky's Playhouse about LT. Go back and check that out on all of our platforms. I'm Jim Dunaway. That's Lance Taylor. Ryan Brown just off camera here. Thank you to walk-ons. Let's see if we can get a goal for the Americans to get this thing back even. Enjoy your football, and let's go for who we're cheering for today. See you, folks.